We're live, mate. We're live.
Fading to black, and now we're fading up, and we're live. Hello, hello. It's all happening. Well, I say all. It is happening. Something's happening.
I guess we're about to find out, huh?
We are indeed.
Talk to the people,
Yes.
Dan. See if I can switch to you.
Okay. Whoa! Hang on, I can't see. Skip survey. There we go. There's a head.
No, not letting me switch to you. Why is that then? Talk, Dan, talk. Can't have dead air.
Sorry. I'm just looking through all that. Wow. Everyone's here already. Hanging out. Awesome. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Hope you're all fantastic. Let's see. Let's have a bit of a roll call. Who have we got? Bart Hendricks. Greetings from Belgium. Nice to see you, Bart. Carl Longbottom. Carl Longbottom, of course, greetings from north of Bristol, where it's all wilderness and monsters.
There be monsters.
How are you, mate? Hope you're great, Carl. Can't wait to get my guitar done. Right. What else we got? Daryl Chambers says, my name's Daryl. I'm a pedalholic. I've been clean for 4 days. Longer than me, Daryl.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Me too. 4 days. I would call that a win.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy. Jeff Harvey, cheers from Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, California, no less.
Indeed. Todd Roy, hello from Nova Scotia. Mick and Dan, love the show. I've learned tons, thank you. Nova Scotia. I've never been. I'd love to go. And we've got Brewster, 1972. Cheers, guys. Greeting, checking in from Victoria, Canada. Have you been to Canada, Mick?
No, but I was talking with Brother Joey yesterday.
Ah, you were talking with him, were you?
And we've decided there was a nascent hatchling of an idea that we had a little while ago that involved that pedal show doing its North American live event in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Yeah, man.
It's the most unlikely place to do it.
Pedals and ice fishing.
But of course, it would be in cahoots with the Brothers Landreth on their turf. So we've decided, Dan, that as soon as dear old David COVID has packed his bag and done the old FO, we're going to Canada.
All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. That'll be fantastic.
Yeah. To actually answer your question, no, I've never been to Canada, but we're going. So
yeah, awesome. Joey will be a dad by then as well.
He will. 7 weeks, I think she said.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it changes.
Apparently. KJ Photo says, I've been looking forward to Dan saying, it's all happening all week.
Can you, in the usual sort of amateur band memes, 666, please take the mick out of this. Can you hear us okay? Are the levels okay? It's always a bit tough to balance me and Dan, because obviously he's on the Star Trek scope there from outer space, and I'm here in the studio.
Very good. Very good. Where else we got? We've got Slavko Lukas Janovic says, hello from Bariloche, Argentina.
Oh, no way.
Very nice.
Very
Hunter
good.
Strasser says, hey from Dallas. That was Dallas. I got that one right, didn't I?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. I was due. Larry Stoltenberg, hello from the Heartland, USA. Love your show. Cheers, Larry. And massive hello to BV Ninja.
BV, thank you as always.
You superstar.
Who does a sterling job of moderation.
Yes.
Yes, everything in moderation.
All good things in moderation. There we go.
Yeah.
AB Music, greetings from Hanover, Germany. Greetings indeed. Richard Parker, good morning from sunny Palm Springs, California. Ah, the sun. And Dan Pfeiffer, word up from Minnesota.
I'm guessing we've got some sort of problem.
Why is that?
Please, could I boost my mic? Apparently, I'm a bit quiet. Well, that never happens. I will. Thank you, BV.
Maybe I'm just talking too much.
No, to be honest, I have gained you up a lot because I'm going by the meters, and the meters, they can tell you a bit, but they don't tell you about frequency, you see? That's the trouble,
No.
Daniel.
You've got this lovely warm tones in your voice. I'm like the Australian of your nightmares that just has that lovely 1.1 k frequency in his voice. I'm the guy that you would in the late 50s you'd hear on a tannoy speaker doing the announcements at the football or whatever sporting event that would use a tannoy, because there's just very, very limited range of frequencies that those speakers would work. Castrol motor oil. Get your Castrol motor oil. Yeah, so that's yes, indeed. Whereas mixed dulcet tones came into prominence later, when they could record and broadcast larger frequencies. So what would that have been? You would have started the voiceover thing. What would be a good example of mixed dulcet tones?
I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
I'm making things up while you're not there.
Oh, cool, I like it. The problem I have right now is that the thing isn't switching like it used to switch. I've obviously pressed something wrong.
If you press the wrong button, Nick.
I totally pressed the wrong button.
Not that one. Which one? Not that one.
Yeah,
Dustin Thiessen says, hello, gents. Cheers from Winnipeg. Whatever we do in Winnipeg, Dustin, we expect you to be there. That'd be great. Wow.
Okay. Sometimes
are you back yet?
And sometimes it's not shift. I don't understand. Hang on. I boosted me a bit. Let's see how that goes. I boosted me a bit. Check this out, right? So you switch cameras using the keyboard.
Right.
And sometimes you just press 1 to go back to you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to press Control 1. There you go, Control 1. Sometimes it's Control 1. Sometimes it's just 1. I don't know, Dan. The revolution won't be on the blooming internet, that's for sure.
No, it won't be.
It's just too much trouble.
It'll be. Oh man, I cannot wait to get back in the room again.
Yeah.
Do away with all this nonsense.
Yeah.
However, I'm grateful that we're able to do it. Technology has allowed us to still do something.
I think
it ain't much.
If you were
I must say,
this would be
before
easy.
I forget, I loved the Ainsley video.
Oh, the Ainsley video?
Yeah, well done, mate. It was really corker. That gold Strat of his is gorgeous.
Bonkers, isn't it?
Amazing. How lovely.
I still can't get any volume out of you, Dan.
You can't get volume out of me?
I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
Am I too loud or too quiet?
If you've turned off at this point, I don't blame you.
Here we go. Mark Royston, hello from Philly. George Spigot, hi from Melbourne. Melbourne, man, I did so many great gigs in Melbourne. When I was touring with Max, one of my favourite gigs to play was the Espy on the Esplanade in St Kilda. That was, I hope it's still there. I know that a while ago there was rumblings of it not being there for a while, but I really hope it's there because that venue was magical. I actually think we did a gig with... I played guitar for Wendy Matthews for a little bit. I think we did a gig there as well with her. Yes, so Melbourne, St Kilda, awesome. Go you Saints. Right, Alkhammer, hello from Vienna, Austria. Very nice. And Ted Iyer, hello from Manchester. Awesome. Let's see. Steve Foster, hello from York. I've not been to York. Have I been to York? No. My friend went to York and sent us all these amazing pictures. So I'd love to go. It looks beautiful. How you doing, bud?
Literally no idea.
Okay.
Something's gone screwy. So
Just move the mic a bit closer to you and we'll carry on.
just turn it up. If you've got a problem, just turn it up.
Always.
It's so frustrating. We use the same settings every week. And I don't know. It is what it is. It's so boring, mate.
Cool. Well, let's get into it then.
Yes, welcome, finally.
Yeah. Right, Victor Gustafsson says, hi guys, ATB show made me order 1990 made in Japan Tele Custom 62 reissue. Any experience with these? Thinking about replacing the neck with Filtertrons or a P90. Thoughts? I've just pre-ordered a Harmonious Monk as well. Thanks, TPS. I love TPS. Thanks, Victor.
What colour is it, Victor?
Yeah, good question.
My first ever telly was one of those, sunburst one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was it bound?
Yeah, custom, yeah. So bound front and back. Who famously played one of those? The guy in InXS? Andy Summers, of course.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, Andy Summers was a custom, wasn't it?
Yeah, humbucker in the neck.
Yeah, which maybe is why you want to think about that.
Yeah. He had some other weird stuff going on. Like, as much as I've read about that guitar, there's some other things going on in that guitar.
It's actually a Les Paul.
It's actually a Les Paul.
And Line 6 did an amazing digital modelling job on it, where it can look like any guitar in the world but sound like a telly.
Sound like a Line 6.
No, sound like a telly. That's what I always wanted Line 6 to invent. No, I didn't want the Variax, which could do any guitar. I just wanted it to sound like a Strat, but look like any guitar. So Line 6, if you're listening, that would be totally awesome.
There you go.
Okay. Aaron and Modular Curiosity, Aaron over there in the US is saying, and Peter DeLeon and Rick Mason saying, it all sounds fine. So thank you, guys. And
thank you, mate.
I apologise. Dan will attest to the fact that the very tiniest things drive me over the edge.
They can indeed.
Yes.
They can indeed.
So I apologise for that. Anyway. Okay, then let us get to the questions.
So yes, just about the that telly. I mean, those were great. I think I had I've only ever owned American tellies, but I've played loads of the Japanese tellies, and I think they're fantastic.
Really cool. They quite often, certainly when they first started coming out, and the reissue type ones, the look of them was really bob on.
Right, wow.
Yeah, a couple of things that are slight annoyances for me. They don't shoot any lacquer in Japan, only poly. So the day you buy that guitar, it's still going to look the same in like 40 years' time, unless you really do kick the crap out of it. But apart from that, and everything is in metric measurements. So things like USA replacement bridges won't fit, but most decent hardware manufacturers will make a Japanese fit version.
Right. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Oh, the poly thing with the Japanese guitars. So when we were in Tokyo and we went to Hard Off and had a look at all the secondhand stores, and all of their secondhand stuff was pristine.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's because they don't really do massive amounts of secondhand things. Everyone really looks after their stuff, and you see the amount of care that someone's, you know, when you see all those pedals at Hard Off that are just been so well looked after.
Dan did just say Hard Off, by the way, which is the name of the awesome secondhand chain of stuff that sells guitars, amps, pedals, bits of hi-fi gear, all kinds of stuff. It's called Hard Off, which made us all laugh a little bit.
Indeed. No, there's a vlog that's on the channel that of us in that shop, and it's what an amazing experience that was.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
I know, we should. Victor, you're saying P90 or Filtertron. Personally, I would go Filtertron because I think it would fit better with the sort of chimey nature of what a telly's supposed to do. It's already Telecaster's already quite a mid-rich guitar, has quite a lot of punch and poke, and I think Filtertron suits tellies really brilliantly well. If you're not familiar, check out the La Cabronita Especial range of tellies, which some of which came with Filtertron style pickups.
Oh, gee, listen to this, Mick. Hunter Strasser has said, I wrote in about a dual humbucker guitar for Fusion the other week. I ended up finding a great deal on a Collins 290 while in Nashville on my honeymoon.
Oh my goodness me! What fantastic guitar!
Well done, Hunter. That's it must be extraordinary. Well done, mate.
I sincerely hope you enjoy that guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funnily enough, they've Collins. So, those of you who are aware of what NAMM is, not available maybe March. There's a big show that happens every year in California where all the new gear for the year used to be released. It's not quite like that anymore. Anyway, the whole of the guitar industry descends on Anaheim, California once a year. And of course, because of COVID, it's not running. Anyway, nevertheless, not available maybe May is carrying on regardless and putting out some digital stuff. And all the manufacturers are doing a good job of releasing new stuff to coincide with it.
Yeah.
Collings has released some cool guitars, not least the Julian Lage signature, but they've done the I-35 in a vintage spec.
Oh dear.
I know, and I'm looking at it going, oh no. Because if I ordered one now, it'd probably be ready in about 18 months, by which time I might be able to afford it.
Boy. Damn. Well done, Hunter. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Richard Parker says, Mick, have you used the 2-Rock 1x12 cab, and can you compare it to the 2x12? And Dan, would the Matchless C15 be just as awesome though quieter, or would I regret not going for the 430? So as far the C15 is fantastic. With the C30, you do have a half power switch, but what I love about the half power switch, you're still using the full size transformer, and it just for me it just works. Even if I just wanted a 15 watt amp, I would still, for me personally, I'd still get the 30 because the half watt mode sounds unreal, and then you've got the option. But I love the sound of the big full size transformer with only using the half the power valves. So personally, I go the full hog.
It is a different thing, isn't it? It is different. Even if it was the same circuit but with 2 less tubes and a different power transformer, output transformer. Logic tells you that it should sound the same, just quieter. It's a different thing in the same way that a 50 watt plexi is completely different from a 100 watt plexi.
Yep.
For want of for no other reason than as part of context, I played in like a pub rock band for a few years with my good friend Neville Martin, and we used to play everything from like, I don't know, Thin Lizzy to blues to Bon Jovi to whatever, and I'd turn up with various 100 watt this, 2 rock that, whatever. Nev, for quite a few gigs, used a Matchless Lightning, 15 watts. Never, ever, even though it was a crazy, crazy loud band, did he ever have any trouble with volume.
Yeah.
In a 15 watt amp. And Matchless's 15 watts seems to be like about 80 watts of most other people's watts, doesn't it?
Well, I remember when we were trying out cabs, and I was just breaking in a cab. I had some ear defenders on. You were in the office, and I had this C30, and I cranked it, and it felt loud because it had ear defenders on, so I couldn't really have any concept of how loud it was. And you came in afterwards, and you said, that's the loudest amp we've ever had going in that room. And it just, and that's got to do with frequency and that stuff. But yeah, they're magic amps either way. But yeah. So what did the 2x12 versus the 1x12 question, Mick, for the
I'm
Two-Rock?
now having trouble switching the cameras again. Literally no idea why. Something's not quite right here, mate.
You're not a happy bird.
Well, I don't know. It's just like everything is intermittent.
Okay.
I don't understand why everything is intermittent all of a sudden. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Same keystroke. Yes. Le 1x12 est là. Celui-ci. Celui-là. If you haven't watched it, watch Call My Agent on Netflix. It's absolutely brilliant.
Really?
It's a drama. It's a comedy drama about a French actors agency.
Isn't Sigourney Weaver in it? And isn't she speaking fluent French?
Well, what they've done, brief tangent before we get to the Two-Rock. What they've done, and I don't want to generalise here, but the French are very protective of their language. If you go to Italy and you try and speak Italian, they sort of smile at you, and feel a bit sorry for you and correct you and feel good and maybe give you a hug. In France, if you go to France, yes.
You like that?
Yeah, the keyboard has now stopped working entirely. If you go to France and try to speak French, they just sort of shout at you and feel very bad that you've destroyed their language quite so badly. Anyway, the point being, anyone who's not French, who speaks French in the series, speaks the worst French you've ever heard, in the most comedy rubbish accent.
Right.
And I think they've done that on purpose. So Sigourney Weaver does speak French, but it's kind of like, an American speaking French.
Okay.
Yeah, with a really awful accent. So
Okay.
Sigourney Weaver's in it, Jean Reno's in it, lots of very famous French actors down the years are in it. It's superb. Anyway, sorry. 112, 212.
I love Sigourney.
She's really funny in it. Because it's a bit like Extras, the show with Ricky Gervais, where they get...
Oh, really? I love that show.
They get to parody themselves a bit.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, yeah, the 1x12 sounds absolutely massive. It's got this huge Dumble type oval back and it's an open back. And with the Two-Rock speaker in it, it sounds colossal. It sounds, for a 112, it sounds huge and brilliant. And if you are in a position where you don't get to play that loud, maybe you play in your apartment at home, or in your house, wherever, then the 1x12 is more than enough. And plenty of people use 1x12s. Let's take.
It sounds massive too.
Yeah, take Robin Ford for example with his Dumble. Pretty much, very regularly a 112. Out of a sort of a tonal choice. The 212 is colossal.
Mm.
It sounds bigger than most 412s to me.
Yeah.
It's a giant sounding thing, especially with some volume. And of course it looks crazy cool. So if you want the full experience and you want to look at it every day and feel warm and fuzzy inside, go for the 212. If you want practicality and like awesome sound at everything except 110 dB, go 112. Quite often I take the 112 because it's just so much easier.
Yeah, it's a great sounding cab.
Yeah, sorry for the long answer, but yeah, it's such a tough one. It's not like they don't sound completely different. They each do some things better than others. It's harder to get the 212 working, that's for sure.
Yeah, totally.
And by that time you're crazy loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Sorry, we're going very slow today, Daniel. And
we are
largely my fault. So let's start from the beginning. Mark Basinski says, "Hi guys. Thank you, Mark, for your generosity." He says, "I've just got a set of Ron Ellis LRP pickups installed in my 335. Very nice, especially the neck pickup worth the wait." Yeah, I think that's what's going to go in mine. I'm just talking to Ron about it, whether we go with the SIGs or the LRPs. I also want him to do the out of phase thing for the neck pickup.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a song. If you listen to Michael Landau's last record, which is called Rock Bottom, I think it's called. The first track is a song called Squirrels, and the first guitar solo, call it up on, I don't know, whatever streaming service you use. The first guitar solo is this really funky, out of phase sound before it launches into God's guitar tone. And I asked him, I asked him, I asked him, what's that? And he said, yeah, it's my 335 with the out of phase neck pickup.
Look, when we get, where does he live? Is it in LA, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Whether we're there or he's touring over here at some point, we simply have to move heaven and earth to get him on the show.
It would be a wonderful thing to do. I don't know how he's not very media-y. He doesn't.
No. But are we media-y? God, I don't even know.
Well, it would be fascinating to get inside that guy's head.
It would be incredible. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah. If you don't know who that is, Michael Landau, please check him out. Right, Guitars and Gizmos, Norway. Hi guys, thanks for keeping our spirits up with your great show. Thank you for being with us. Mick, could you briefly describe the way you set the basic tone for your Strat, especially if you get ready for a gig? Cheers, Tor or Thor. Thor, maybe. Basic tone for the Strat. Well, I guess the vast majority, certainly at a gig, the vast majority of sounds that I would use are either bridge pickup or neck pickup. I don't use anything else much. I might use 2 and 4 for like a little bit of this and that, but generally it's either bridge pickup or neck pickup. The vast majority of time, all the knobs are up to 10, especially if it's a distortion sound or if there's loads of fuzz. And then of course knock the volume back on the guitar with the fuzz especially to get a really lovely clean sound. And then if it's a mid overdrive sound, sometimes I'll just knock the bridge tone control back a bit because I tend to wire my Strats onto the tone control for the bridge pickup. Amps, I like amps. Dan and I are both the same. We both like amps with a lot of headroom, but that doesn't necessarily mean clean. It means the amp set to just breaking into overdrive, and then when you hit it with the pedal is then pushing it into more overdrive, and the interaction of the pedal and the amp is really the thing. Funnily enough, I'm about to do a vlog on this, inspired by the video with Ainsley last week, and also inspired by a conversation that Dan has had with Simon Jarrett for his video this coming Thursday. And it is fascinating that the video is clickbaitily going to be called, Dan, Best Clean Sound, Fender Blackface or Cranked Marshall Plexi, ?
Oh, I like it.
Because it's a bit of a revelation, actually. Anyway, so yeah, Dan and I, again, both set our amps kind of the same. They're not too much of anything. Everything as open and as balanced as it possibly can be so that you've got the maximum amount of control and expression and all of that from you. So if you dig in a bit harder, it goes a bit more distorted. If you back off, it gets a bit cleaner. So the dynamic range is as far as it can be. I'm not sure what else I can add apart from that, really. But I'm not... If you watch the vlog with Ainsley on Thursday, he's the opposite of that. His home position is kind of between 2 and 7 on the Strat. That's where he is most of the time. And then really only on 10 for the over-the-top stuff, and Bonamassa is the same. Lots of great sort of high-gain amp players are the same, or higher-gain amp players are the same. But yeah, I hope that answers it.
Very good.
Yep. Nick Larson. Hi, Nick. He says, morning from Chicago. Well, hello to Chicago.
Sweet home.
Lower Wacker Drive. Is that what it's called? New automobiles are in early.
I haven't been to Chicago either.
Oh, look. Pierre One Imports. Blues Brothers.
Oh, yes, of course.
He says, today I might pull the trigger on a Fender Supersonic 22. Any thoughts on this amp? Love what I've heard from both channels. Yes, are my thoughts on
They're
the
great.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a 6D as well. If you want, I don't know what's in the 22, whether it's 6v6s or EL84s, probably 6v6s, I guess. If you want more
Was
headroom.
that who designed the Supersonic?
No idea.
All right. Okay.
It's probably about 20 years old when it
When
first
was Paul Revere working at Fender?
before that.
Before that, yeah. Okay.
I don't know when he left. He certainly left like way before the Blues Deluxe and Hot Rod series.
Oh, okay.
Like way before.
Right.
And I think it was Richie Fleegler that headed up that project. Yeah, I don't know. Thin ice here. Yeah, he won't have had anything to do with the Supersonic.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware. Yeah, brilliant amp. 2 differently voiced channels. I think one of the channels has got 2 voices as well, so 3 different voices if I'm remembering correctly. It came in 22, 60 and 100 watt versions. I don't think they make the 100 anymore.
Right.
But yeah, great amp. Fantastic amp. Enjoy.
Cool.
Riley Low Acura says, you guys are epic. Thank you for all that you do for us. Stay safe and stay strong. Thank you, Bev.
Oh,
and
thanks, Riley.
Brothers. Yeah, thank you to you. Oh, Bethers. I wonder if Bethers is Bev's other half. Albus Band, Aaron, hi mate. He says, well,
Hey,
hello
mate.
legends. Let's go off topic and see each of you would choose if you had a Frankenstein, a right hand, left hand, an approach from 3 different artists. Love you. Okay, interesting. So you've got a if I'm understanding this question right, you've got to go a right hand, left hand approach, i.e., get a left handed guitar and turn it upside down.
I've done that.
And,
I had a 63 left-handed Telecaster that I turned upside down. I drilled a hole in it and everything for the Strat on the horn. And so obviously there's no cutaway. You couldn't get past like the 12th fret. But it was a great sounding guitar. I loved that guitar.
So who are your artists then?
Sorry?
Who are your artists? How would you approach it?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? I'm going to say Joey for the low tuning.
Yeah.
Because there's no getting up high on that guitar. I think if I've understood the terms and conditions correctly.
Yeah. See, now it works, Dan. Now keys 1 and 2 work, whereas before it was control 1 and control 2. If anyone can explain that, please do. Okay, I'm going to go Jimi Hendrix, because there are things that Hendrix did on a guitar that were kind of only possible because it was the other way around.
Okay.
And in that vein, I'm going to add Eric Gales to that list. And let's go for Otis Rush. There you go.
Okay.
Those are my 3.
Sorry. So Matthew's supposed to choose a left-handed player.
Well, the players that turn the guitar upside down and played it upside down.
Well, Joey turns it in every direction. Backwards and forwards and left and right. And so I still feel pretty comfortable with that choice. I'll say... I will say Paul McCartney.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He played the solo in Taxman.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I was listening to that just the day before yesterday.
I love that solo.
What a great sound.
Good.
He did this bizarre TV show with Idris Elba.
What?
He was launching a new record, and Idris Elba did the interview. It was almost as bizarre as Jack D's thing across Siberia. Have you watched that?
No.
Jack D, famous English comedian, known for his sort of very deadpan, grumpy persona, did this thing where he goes to Russia, gets taken to Siberia, dropped off with a reindeer herd, reindeer sleigh thing, and he goes off for 4 days and 3 nights and has to get, I don't know what it is, 50 kilometers or something, across Siberia, which obviously isn't very far, but when you've got a reindeer and a sled and it's like minus 40, it was bizarre. So he basically gets into his sled, goes off, pitches his tent every day, lights the fire, moans like hell for the whole show. He gets to where he's going, the guy shakes his hand, and that's it. Like no reflection or anything.
He took over from one of the hosts on Radio 4 comedy show.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it's not just a minute. It was.
I'm sorry, I haven't a clue.
Yes, that's the one, and he is hilarious on that thing. But anyway.
Do forgive. It's the famous Radio 4 comedy show. Do forgive me, my Jaguar has run out of petrol. Oh man, I can't believe some of that stuff still happens. Like the Archers, Dad's Army was even on TV the other night. I just can't believe that it still happens in this day and age. I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
It's so. Anyway, whatever.
Okay. Anyway, Pieces says, "Hey chaps, my question is: are all EQ pedals created equal? Is it worth investing heavily, or is it a spot on the board where you can economize?" So no, all EQ pedals are so far from being created equally. It depends on what you want to use your EQ pedal for. You've got programmable EQ pedals, digital EQ pedals, programmable analog EQ pedals, simple fader EQ pedals, parametric EQ, graphic EQ. They all do a myriad of things. I mean, for a simple, I'd tell you what, if you're just diving into EQ, GE7, just a plain Boss GE7, fantastic. An analog man modded GE7, even better because it brings down the noise floor. And that's really, those sliders are really interesting because you can see exactly where you are frequency-wise and amplitude of the frequency-wise. So that's a really wonderful place to start. Now, a classic use for those is a booster. So you can shape the frequency of the boost you want to use. You use them as a treble booster, boosting into gain stages, an overall booster. You can have it as like a master EQ at the end of your board. We've done pedals on EQ before. Done shows on EQ pedals before. So it's worth checking those out. But I would say 100% they are not all created equal.
Yeah, because all the usual things apply, don't they? The fidelity, the audio integrity, input and output impedance, headroom, like he just said.
All the stuff.
But if you were going to go and buy one tomorrow, Dan, an EQ that you were going to live with, what would it be?
Oh. I'll probably wait until Chase Bliss brings out an automaton EQ pedal.
I'd go with either a Analog Man modded Boss G7, or the MXR 10 band is pretty good, or the Free the Tone programmable one, which is
Free the Tone programmable one for me is the one that just ticks all the boxes. It's really great for a WYSIWYG simplicity. Analog Man modded G7.
There you go. That's probably the best value of all of those as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, and related, Tom Haviland. Hi, Tom. He says, when does a pedal need presets? I have a Walrus Slur, and it sounds great, but live I can only use one sound, or I have to adjust it between songs. Yeah, do they not do something like Chase Bliss do, which enables you to access presets on a pedal like that?
Sorry, who's that?
The Walrus Slow.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
No, I'm trying to find one. We've got the ARP.
Yeah, so I know that they've got presets on the Mako series, but I don't think they've got presets on the Slow.
Yeah. Yes, because they've just brought a reverb out, haven't they?
Yes.
This would be Walrus. Yeah, it's a good question. it used to be that your only choice was, a pedal or a multi-effects. And in the last 10 years, probably, certainly 5 years, the availability of compact size pedals with presets on board is much more. So I don't know whether you want to check out their new D1 reverb, which I think is just coming out. Something like the Boss. Is there an RV200?
There must be.
Bit like the DD200.
Yeah.
One of these.
That's a great question, actually.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is. So yeah, it might be. Unfortunately, that if you do want presets, you might have to think about another pedal. I don't know, flog that one on reverb or something, or keep it for the one sound you really love.
Yeah,
just
reverbs are really amazing. I mean, I got into presets with my Big Sky. When I first heard about getting presets on a reverb, I thought it was sort of superfluous. But when you get into modulated reverb and that sort of stuff, the sounds that you can create with reverb are quite incredible.
Yeah.
Now, it comes down to, are they the sounds you're going to use? Are you simply looking for changing between a couple of spring levels and, every now and then a plate or a hall? There's 1,000 pedals that'll do that. But if you're looking to create full-on textures and those sort of things with presets, then there are some wonderful pedals out there that will do that. Certainly have a look at the Strymons. They really do some magic reverb pedals. And of course, Effectrode, not Effectrode, help me out, Mick.
I don't know. Give me a clue.
They do the beer setting.
Oh yeah, them would be. Neither of their pedals are here because you've got them, because they are so awesome. Do. And
it'll come to me in a second.
This is tip of the tongue theory again, Dan.
Oh man,
they make the echo system and the reverb.
Echo system.
Empress.
But why, man? So funny because I love their stuff. But I do get blocked with that name, Empress. Okay, I've got to attach it to an emotion to be able to remember it. All right, I'll work on that. Sorry.
Yeah, association is a really good way to remember things.
Yeah,
I do it with people's names. Huh?
Who are you?
Mick sounds like. Anyway, onwards. We're gonna have to speed up, mate. Airfire.
Yeah, sorry.
Airfire. Just wanted to say thank you for all the kind responses and advice on my comment on Thursday's vid. Ainsley's wet dry response was awesome. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean sometimes there's questions that come in, and we do try and answer as many as we possibly can. The ones we don't answer quite so much are the ones that say things like, what overdrive pedal should I buy? Because the answer to that is, how long is a piece of string? Please watch the last 200 videos we've made. But if it's a specific question, we really do try and answer. Buzz Wilson, I bought a Tone King Imperial. Haven't had much time with it. I'm reading some complaints about it being too bright. What are the recommendations to tame it if the amp is too bright for my taste? Thinking about Texas heat or clipping the bright cap. Well, you can't. I mean, I wouldn't do anything until you've really played it. So
we haven't found our Tone King too bright. It's just magic sounding thing.
Yeah, ours is a Mark II, so I don't know if they changed it.
Right.
I don't know if they changed it. It's born of a deluxe reverb, in a way, and owners of deluxe reverbs will know that below about 4 or 5 on the volume, it has that. I was gonna say hateful, but it's not hateful because it's really beautiful for some things. But it's really not great if you plug in like a medium gain overdrive and it sounds like someone sticking ice pick in your forehead. Here comes the ice pick in the forehead. So it might be something to do with that. So yeah, you could think about the bright cap. You could try something like a really crazy long guitar lead. to take off some of that high-endy stuff.
Yeah, depends what if you're driving it though. And any pedal on that, and you're going to drive that. So
negate that.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't worry about it until you've plugged it in.
Yeah.
And had a play. And if you do find it's too bright, you can look at things like speakers or contact the guys at Tone King.
Yeah. I know ours, the Mark II, has got a bright attenuation on the back, which I think might only be for the overdrive channel, but I can't actually remember. Good luck with it. Fantastic. What a wonderful amplifier.
Yeah, indeed.
Charles HD, you guys are legends. Well, thanks, Charles. We're sure you are as well.
Thanks, Charles.
He says, thoughts on the Fender 57 Custom Champ hand-wired reissue for home use. Less volume to bridge before the amp gets cooking. Thanks for finding ways to stay with us in these times. Haven't heard it, but every one of those custom hand-wired amps they've done, I've loved.
Yeah, I've played through one for years. So Dave Gregory's got a custom champ that was a gift from some work that he did. And so whenever we go over and practice spirits parts at his house, I'd use the champ. Killer.
Nice.
What a great sound.
So like a tweed one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's going to be awesome. The thing is, it depends on your home, because 5 watts out of that thing is still going to be crazy loud.
Oh, yeah.
Like giggable loud, probably. So, just because it's 5 watts, don't be expecting it to be the tenth the volume of a 50 watt amp. It won't. It'll keep up with most 20 and 30 watt amps. No worries at all. But yeah,
plug it into a 4x12. Sounds epic. Yeah.
But of course, exactly as you say, lower output power section, you'll be able to drive it much quicker and get some of those really cool sounds. Some people really love that small amp thing, as do I in the right context, because it has very specific sort of range of frequencies from the small box and the small speaker. And some people really don't. Some people would, given exactly the same volume, some people prefer a much higher headroom, bigger box, so that it sounds more kind of high fidelity.
Yeah, they can sound great recorded.
But there is no doubt whatsoever that is, a Tweed Champ cranked is the sound of ages.
Yeah.
It's right up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very cool. Good luck.
Seth Neal says, have you gotten to try the new Walrus R1 and ACS1? If so, thoughts? I ordered both immediately because, well, that's how little self-control I have. I haven't. I sent an email. I'm sure the same email went out to Mick as well.
Yes. Now, let's see. The problem with the D1 delay is that it's not analog drive-through.
Yeah, the reverb isn't either as well. I asked them that.
Is it not? Okay. So
no, it's not.
For 98% of people on the planet, that is not a problem. It is a problem for me and Dan. So that's a non-starter.
The cab sim looks good, though.
It really does. That looks killer.
Yeah.
I guess where does it sit? It sits in the same game as the Strymon Iridium.
And the New Neighbour Iconoclast.
Yeah, and then whatever that analog thing that Lee Anderson really likes is called the Simplifier.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it feels like that part of the market is getting really seriously credible now, because for years, little boxes that purport to get you great direct tone were always a fairly significant compromise. Those things sound pretty cool. We thought the Strymon one sounded really cool, and you really like the Iconoclast, don't you? The New Neighbour.
I love the Iconoclast. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it'd be cool, really cool to see that. That's a nice product release. That. William says hello from Sweden. Well, hello to Sweden.
Hello.
Love the show. Love the vlogs, the live streams, and everything in between. Have you guys heard The War on Drugs? If not, give them a listen.
Band, yeah, they're great.
Yeah, Simon loves them, doesn't he?
Yeah, unreal.
Simon, yeah.
Really wonderful use of effects and textures and things. Be worth reaching out to see if we get, when things get back to normal, because he'd be a really interesting guy to have on the show.
Would be awesome. I need to give it a bit more time, I think. I'm not overly familiar.
Yeah, very uber creative. Yeah. Uber creative.
Maniacal Lion, hello to you. Thanks for being with us as always. Says, I've recently gone down the pick rabbit hole. Do you always use the same pick? I found I like Ultex Sharp on acoustic and Primetone 1.3 with electric. Dan?
Yeah, so I've been down the pick rabbit hole recently as well. Where are they? I got my okay. Here is the bag of all the picks that I spent a couple of days going through, including our favourite, what do they call me?
Prime Tones.
Anyway, because I was using the same pick as Mick, the 1.3, which is great.
1.5.
I settled on the Primetone 0.88.
Right.
It's got enough flex that when if I do rhythm stuff, it works great. What I find when I'm using really thick strings, having a massive thick pick, it takes a lot of energy to push past those strings. And having a pick that's got slightly more flex in it, it just gives me a little bit more, it just works better for me. So I've decided I'm going to stick with these for a little while and see how I go. But still, to me, the Primetone ones just sound better than every other pick that I've tried.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. Once I discovered I use Gator grips for ages, and I think it's more or less the same material as Gator grips, but they do the hand burnishing on them, so you get the edge. Interesting little tangent here and a massive name drop. I was stood at the side of the stage with Eric Johnson once, and honk, and
nice.
He really goes at his plectrum to get the edge off. So he'll get a new plectrum and goes at it to get the edge like burnished off, so that it's not like a right angle edge on the pick.
Right.
Yeah. And I find that if I get a new pick of the same material and I really like it, like the material, actually the edge, because I use quite thick picks, it's got to be rounded off. Otherwise, can't do that. So I use them for everything. They don't sound very good on my acoustic guitar. I have a Collins CJ35, which is a very forthright sounding, no hiding anywhere. You have to engage with that. You can't just sit and sort of gently strum away. It doesn't work if you do that. You have to play that guitar with some conviction, otherwise it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the Primetone doesn't sound good with that guitar, I don't think, for my style of playing. Probably does for lots of other people, but so I have to use a slightly thinner pick with that guitar, maybe for some of the same reasons that Dan was just talking. However, I've been trying to practice I don't know if this is the correct term, but economy picking, where instead of going up and down with the wrist, that's what she said, you...
That's where we've gone. That's the level now.
Then you keep the wrist steady and you just sort of you move your thumb and your forefinger, which is
that thing.
Yeah, here you go, Dan. There you go. Yeah, and it just, if you're trying to do some of those Eric Johnson-y type kind of runs where he plays pretty quick. Let's choose a guitar that's got some air in it so you'd be able to hear the guitar. So if you're playing a kind of like a, I don't know, that sort of thing. If you try and do that all wrist, or if you're playing the... If you try and do it all wrist, I just can't do it. Whereas if you economy pick and you kind of just move in and out... It sounds a bit rough because I'm still working on it, but the point of that is these picks aren't pointy enough for that.
Right.
It's why Bonamassa uses the Jazz 3s.
Oh wow!
Because you get because the movement is much smaller.
Yeah.
You need the precision, I think.
Interesting.
That.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then add a load of overdrive and delay, and it sounds really good.
Yep.
So yes, picks, blimey, never ending. If I'm recording, always have a Dunlop nylon, like 70, whatever the 71 and whatever the 81 is, just to flick off the strings instead of hammering them with acoustics.
Yeah.
Yeah. We keep saying we'll do a show on picks, Dan.
No, we put it out for tenure, and it came back. So funny. It was very Marmite.
Yeah.
The people that really wanted to see it, people that were desperate not to see us do a show on picks. So
yeah, it's such a personal thing, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's really interesting when you get into it. Okay, where are we?
Jake
Josh
Mitchell.
Connett.
Sorry, who are you going for, Dan?
You go.
Jake Mitchell. Would you recommend a Morgan AC20 or a Victory VC35 for someone who wants to get into AC style amps? I would recommend a Vox AC30.
Yep. I concur.
Yep. So taking the Morgan, from memory, more headroom, more versatility, and a more forthright presentation is what I always get from Morgan amps.
Mm.
The VC35, way more gain, like immensely more gain.
Yep.
Really killer sounding thing. So
amazing sounding thing.
If you want it with more gain, it's a really good shout. But why not just get an AC30?
Yeah, if that's what you want.
One of the master volume ones.
Yep.
Yep.
Josh Connett says, hi from San Jose, California. You guys are the sole reason as to why I delved into the world of pedals. And now I am starting to build my own pedals. I greatly appreciate the two of you. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Well, Josh, that's awesome, mate. Well done.
Good luck with it.
Yeah, good luck, buddy. That's brilliant.
Wolfpeck Flyers says, glorious TPS gents. I'm about to load my Dean ML Dimebag replica with Bill Lawrence XL and DiMarzio DP100. The DP100 is really a bridge pickup and it's going in the neck position. So do I need to consider how the high output will behave when put in the neck position?
Bill Lawrence, that's the same guy as OBL pickups?
Yeah, Bill Lawrence famously down the years done pickups for all kinds of people, but also did quite a lot of pickups for Gibson in the day, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I built a guitar. Well, I didn't really. I modded. I had a neck, but built a body, and I had an OBL bridge pickup in that guitar. Man alive, what a great thing it was.
I think
I loved this like a single coil, like a Strat sized blade, like dual blade OBL pickup. Killer.
Now then, generalization warning. Bill Lawrence is one of those pickup makers who defies lots of preconceptions.
Right.
So I think some of his pickups are very high output. They use materials that we wouldn't normally associate with the kind of sounds that we like. And yet, whenever I hear one of his pickups, I really like it.
Yeah.
Same as what you're just saying. So if you're going to put a bridge pickup in the neck position, yeah, you've got to be a bit aware of that. It's really tough because DC resistance isn't everything with pickups. So you might find I don't know if you're into like 15K here, are you, with crazy high output pickups? But let's say it's somewhere between 10 and 15. You can find 6 and 7K pickups that are going to sound audibly as loud as that.
Yeah.
Because of the frequency response. Now, as you probably are aware, the amount of string vibration where the neck pickup sits is considerably more than where the bridge pickup sits, and of course, and the frequency response of what's happening there is higher too, which is why neck pickups always tend to sound a bit louder than bridge pickups. So if you've got enough adjustability, it might be that you can drop it far enough and raise the bridge high enough to sort of balance between them. No reason why it wouldn't sound cool. The thing that you just need to be aware of is if the neck pickup is just too loud for the bridge. And although it's a very different kind of pickup, that's the exact problem I had with the Gold Top PRS there. The neck P90 was just too bassy and woofy all the time.
Yeah.
So it needed a lower wind pickup to make it sound good. not really our wheelhouse, those kind of pickups, or indeed that kind of guitar. Sorry, Dan, another tangent. In our old studio space at Guitarist magazine, which we shared with Total Guitar and Guitar Techniques, we had a Dean ML that Dimebag threw at my mate Stu, and the neck was all snapped and the headstock snapped off.
Wow.
I think it was for a photo shoot. I don't think he was actually annoyed, but yeah.
Nice.
Okay, John Hubbs. Hi, John. He says, I'm
John.
messing around with stereo and wet and dry. I'm looking for a fun stereo reverb that can still be conventionally usable. I currently have a Fathom by Walrus Audio. What are your thoughts?
Love the Fathom.
Yeah, he's saying looking for... Yeah, so he wants a reverb that can still be conventionally useful. So does that mean when you're not wet, dry, or stereo? Because the Fathom, Daniel, is mono.
I see.
Or at least I can only see 2 jacks on there. So, yes, one would assume that it's mono.
Okay.
So, stereo reverb, Dan, where are you? What do you got for
Well, if you've got the coin, the CXM 1978 is the end all reverb search for me personally. But that thing, and because it sounds great in mono, in stereo it's unbelievable.
I am going to recommend this, which is a delay and a reverb. Which is
the Collider.
Source Audio.
That's a great idea.
Collider. I'm going to recommend it over the Ventris because it has analog dry-through, which the Ventris doesn't, as far as I'm aware.
That's my favourite Source Audio pedal. That thing is incredible.
It's got delay in it as well, but it's also got some really cool reverbs. Others you might want to think about, TC Hall of Fame 2, which I believe does stereo. That has the really cool mash expression pedal switch. So,
that's right.
As you step on the expression pedal, the on-off foot switch, if you put pressure on it, it acts as an expression pedal on the TC Electronic Hall of Fame 2, and they're pretty inexpensive as well. What about the good old Boss RV6? Does that do
the Boss RV6, man, is killer. Really fantastic.
Yeah. It's here, I just can't get it out. There we go. Boss RV6. I don't know if there's a newer version, but that's the Boss RV6.
Yeah, but that sounds unreal.
So yeah.
Also, the reverb from MXR.
Yes,
it's really spectacular.
It's just called
one.
reverb, isn't it?
It's just called reverb.
You sure it's stereo?
But boy, oh boy, it's pretty amazing.
You sure it's stereo?
I think so.
It's here somewhere. Can't see it. Anyway, doesn't matter. So our recommendations are, if it does stereo, the MXR reverb, might be called the M300 reverb actually. The Boss RV6, the TC Electronic Hall of Fame 2, or the Source Audio Collider, which is also a delay as well and does MIDI.
Yep. Lovely.
Nice. That felt relatively concise.
Yep. 67er Matsy says, hi friends, wonder if you can share any experience with tellies with very nice humbuckers like Seymour Duncan Antiquity or so. Thanks for being the wonderful dudes that you are. Makes these crazy days a lot better. Oh, cheers, mate. That's very kind. Tellies with humbuckers. Boy, oh boy. Right. My favourite humbuckers and tellies have always been the full range humbuckers that you would see in some old thin lines. I've got my best. That's that guitar mic, that 63 that I had, the left hand turned upside down. It had 2 of the original full range humbuckers in there, the Seth Lover design ones, and some seriously epic humbucking tones from those. I guess those, the full range ones, some of the Gretsch style pickups. You know, I think for me, because the telly has a bite, and you don't want to take that away from that guitar. So humbuckers that do have an edge, anything low wind, PAF style, Filtertron, full range thing, I think works great.
Yeah. Yeah, I have nothing to add other than Danny Gatton's Joe Barden pickups, maybe.
Yeah.
But seeing, I don't know, I can't do it. Les Pauls and 335s have humbuckers. Tellys have single coils.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from Filtertrons, I think Filtertrons are a good shout for a telly.
Yeah.
Re the previous La Cabronita comment.
Yes.
James Bond says, here's some US dollars for my ginger brother that plays the blues and does jiu-jitsu. I've got a protein into an iridium and they sound great for live streams. OSS, Dan.
Os.
What does that mean?
Oh, it's a jiu-jitsu thing.
Right.
Os. Yeah. Obrigado.
David Burke. Hi, David. He says, howdy, I'm planning a G3 based board with stereo pedals.
Nice.
Delay and reverb with optional stereo wet and dry. This means the pedals are connected stereo but having to run mono in wet dry mode. Is there any foreseeable issues with this?
You want to run the pedals in stereo and have them wet dry. I'm assuming you're talking about actually what I do. You've got some stereo pedals at the end, and you run wet dry into the stereo. Is that what you're talking about?
No, he's saying that he wants the option of running them either stereo or wet dry.
Okay, right.
So presumably maybe the question is, per bank or per preset, can some loops be set up mono and some stereo? Same loop.
You can. What you do, it's a bit tricky. The way you need to do it is don't set that. There's a global control where you set the pedals up as a stereo pedal, where it turns both those loops on in parallel. If you want to do it individually, just don't turn that on and set them up in parallel when you want to use a stereo. When you want to use wet dry, just leave the parallel off and just run them individually. Left. So you can use one side of the stereo for your wets and then leave the other side bypass. So you can do it, just don't turn on the global stereo setting. There you go. Boom.
Boom.
But any things like that, just get in contact with Gigarig support. We'll get you sorted.
Kyle Harkus says, I have a Hot Rod Deluxe and a Yarosov GTA 15.
Nice.
I run the Hot Rod Deluxe wet and the GTA 15 dry. It sounds awesome. Tried it all thanks to you legends.
Nice.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, it is.
That sounds great.
It's hard to go back once you've heard it. Michael Fors from Sweden says, greetings from snowy Sweden. Easily 1 meter of snow.
Wow.
I love it though. I can drive my Skidoo. Both of you are welcome to try it when all this other shit is over.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, unusually, Mike, we get very little snow in the UK, but we've had some over the last couple of days, and it's been glorious. It's been really beautiful.
Yeah, I like it for about. It depends. The snow that we've got, I like it for about 15, 20 minutes. But if you're in Sweden, I remember when I was in Beijing, and in the winter, I mean, it was Arctic. and like that, it's incredible. You're walking on lakes, rivers and stuff, and proper full-on snow where you're ready for it. It's just the best fun.
Bryson Cook says, hey gents, no question, just thanks for all you do and teach about gear. We'll be recording with a band soon, all because of your inspiration. Perfect.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
How cool is that? Cheers from
Amazing.
Orlando, says Brad. I got a promotion at work on Friday and just wanted to share the good fortune. Well, bless you, Brad. Thank you.
Oh, well done, Brad. Congratulations, mate.
He says, I also picked up a Humdinger and finally experienced wet dry. Cheers for all your hard work. Thank you, Brad.
Good man. Brilliant.
Jason Carapazzi is on, Dan. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Always good to hear from you. He says, gents, I want to write an album by myself, but it's hard without a drum track. but writing a drum track in Logic zaps my time and passion, to quote band bad infomercials. There's got to be a better way. What are your thoughts?
There's a really great program in Logic. I first started using it when I was using GarageBand. And you've got all these different session drummers in Logic that you can choose from that will just play along to your track.
Yeah.
There's some, if you don't want to program drums, Mick is really good at programming drums. I'm not, and I don't have the patience for that. I've got a drummer who's great, who will, I will, if I'm writing a song, I will use, is it called Easy Drummer?
Easy Drummer is a program, yeah, by Tuna, I think.
It's whatever the one that comes in GarageBand and Logic is.
Oh no, Easy Drummer is a separate program by a company called Tuna, I think.
Okay.
And Easy Drummer
there's
is
a drum
excellent.
program in Logic that you've got these different, all these different characters who are different drummers, and you can choose the tempo, and they will play along with the music.
Yeah.
It's really clever. Now, it's not editable in the way that Mick does it, where you go in with the MIDI scroll and you choose your velocity and where it hits and all that sort of stuff.
It actually is.
But the built-in whatever drummers they are, they sound great. And if what you want to do is get the song out quick and then maybe work on the drums later, you've got some really nice options there. And it takes seconds.
It's awesome. I think it's called Drummer, and you call it up, and there's a square, and there's a 4-way grid: loud,
That's
quiet,
the one.
Loud, quiet, easy, complex.
Easy, complex. Yeah.
You can pick whether it's straightforward, whether it's swung. You can change the number of fills, and it just gives you a decent beat that you can manipulate quite significantly into something you want. I'm pretty sure, Dan, that if you like it, you can convert it to MIDI.
Really?
To edit thereafter.
Okay.
I think,
there you go. Shows how much I know.
I think you can do that, but I wouldn't swear to it. Other than that, something like Easy Drummer. There's loads of great programs out there, Real Drums, which use actual loops. Oh, of course, that's the other thing. In Logic, apart from Drummer, there's the whole loop library. So you've got endless loops of real drummers playing loops, audio loops, and you can just drag them in and create a drum track that way. That's a fantastic way to do it.
As long as you set your tempo when you start doing the tune, it's really impressive what you can do in Logic if you're not a traditional programmer, a drum programmer. It's quite incredible. Just spend a couple of hours going through some YouTube videos and trying some stuff out. Yeah. And you'll soon find your way around it. It's very impressive.
So using Logic then, look for Drummer, which you set up as a separate track and just load the instrument and use it that way. It's got a really usable interface. Secondly, go to the Apple Loops library, which you get free with Logic, and just drag in. You just search by drums. The names are fairly self-explanatory in terms of, I don't know, jazzy blues or whatever, and it will give you the time signature and the tempo. And if it says 120 and you drag it into a 100 project, it will stretch to your tempo. If you try and drag 120 into a 60, it'll sound weird, but a few BPM here and there is not a big deal.
Sure.
Good luck.
Paul Paceman says, message to Mick, just press 1 when Dan is out of control. Awesome. And John Hubb says, to my last question about reverb, I was thinking of pairing a slow with my Fathom and a Metzium Mark II or a Mercury 7 down the line, thinking of getting a Night Sky if this helps. We'll have to watch later. Yeah, I mean, they're all good options. The Mercury 7 is epic. That would be my fave of that lot, I think. But the Fathom is wonderful. Yeah, First heard Ariel Posen use the Fathom and was blown away by the sound of it and used it for a long time. It's really good.
Yeah, really nice thing. John Fruin. Hello, John. He says, my harmonious monk arrived yesterday. Well, thanks, John.
Way!
Thanks for buying it. He says, it's awesome. Silly question. I had a dream that my D&M fuzz pedal arrived. Mick's side was, of course, a fuzz face. And then I woke up. What was your side, Dan?
Oh, Tone Bender. Or, no, it'd be a some sort of Japanese super fuzz thing, or a muff, but probably the super fuzz.
Nice, very nice. We should
That's
do
my
that.
jam, Holmes.
We should do that, Dan.
Love it.
G Barge. Good evening, guys. Love the Ascent boost. And now I'm very interested in the Hampstead Zenith. Have you any plans for a test drive on TPS? Also, tipping my cap to Jake at the Gig Rig, who replied to my weekend question by this morning.
Oh, bless him. Jake is such a good egg. He's a lovely boy. Jake is now 20, just had his 26th birthday. I think it's today or yesterday. And, oh no, sorry, far out. It was Friday. Anyway, he's been working for us for 8 years.
No
He's only
way.
26.
No way.
Yeah, but Jake's awesome. Okay. See, I tell I'm getting old now. Lost my it's gone off on a tangent. Completely lost the question.
The question was Hampstead Zenith.
Yes, the Hampstead. I've got one, and yes, absolutely. We've the list of pedals that we have that we want to show is growing and growing. Obviously, it's so tricky when we can't be in the studio together.
Yeah, it's really tough.
I can't do the audio the way that we do in the studio, so I won't produce anything that requires that level of audio.
What is the Hampstead Zenith? Is that the multi?
Right, the Zenith is like an EQ and compressor.
Oh, okay.
All in one. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, clearly Hampstead makes completely awesome stuff. So if you're feeling in that direction, G, then I don't think you can go far wrong. Paul Paismans says, all the best to you guys. No question this time. Well, thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Sandman757 says, g'day, lads. When using an effects switcher to control my amp channels, reverb and tremolo, typically controlled by the foot switch that comes with the amp, how do you handle situations where the amp doesn't use the typical 1/4-inch jack for the foot switch input? Okay, let's take a couple of examples. If you are talking about, for example, a Fender amp that has RCA audio jacks, Dan, how would you deal with that?
Well, you need a special cable that converts. So you...
He's frozen. Dan has frozen.
Oh, boy.
There you go. You're back.
Okay. And in the switcher, you would have some sort of programmable remote switches, I'm assuming. So you would get a cable that would convert the 1/4-inch cable to the what did you call it, Mick?
RCA.
The RCA connector.
Now with an RCA,
that's easy. That's just a 1/4-inch to RCA.
Because
more
sorry, Dan. Sorry to stop you and interrupt you, but presumably because an RCA is just a tip and a sleeve in exactly the same way that a 1/4-inch jack is.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. What's more confusing is when they use like a DIN cable that looks like a MIDI connector, but it's not. It's just a way they can get 5 connectors down the same cable.
Yeah.
And what you need to do in a situation like that, generally it's not in the manual, but if you contact the company, they will have what's called a pin out for the connector that they use, and it'll tell you what ground is and what they're switching and if they're switching resistors and stuff. And then you can generally take that to any decent tech and they will be able to make you an adapter that will be able to go from the cable out of the back of the amplifier to your remote switches.
There you go. Hope that helps. Phil Mingin says, I got a new American Professional telly and a 64 custom hand-wired deluxe reverb. Yes, you did. Blimey, O'Reilly.
Nice.
From Santa, I think she really loves me. Mick,
well done, mate.
Thanks for discussing mental health. It's often overlooked. Great show. Thanks, Phil. And it's my pleasure to discuss mental health and our pleasure to do so. Actually, Catherine had an idea yesterday, Dan, if you're up for it.
Right.
A series of podcasts. Where we talk about that stuff with people who have experience of it.
Love it. Great. Love it.
David Harrison. Hello, David. He says, looking to change my pickups, but I'm not a big fan of having to solder things. Do you have any thoughts or experiences with solderless wiring harnesses like obsidian wire?
It's a really good idea. I think my favorite, there's a couple of really simple things that you can do. Let's say you've got a Strat and you've got all the pickups in a Strat, right? And you want to try a few out, but you don't want to keep soldering and unsoldering. A really cool thing is to get a couple of different battery clips, and on the output jack connect the one battery clip, and on the output from the pick guard connect the other battery clip, so that you just connect them together when you put the back in, and then you just snap them and put the next pick guard back in, so you're not constantly soldering and unsoldering. And that's a really good thing to do. But yeah, I've seen the obsidian thing, and it's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, if it works for you, great. You still will need to solder that stuff in, so that then you've got the connectors there. And so if you're the sort of person that wants to try loads and loads of different pickups, great.
There you go. I have no experience of it, I'm afraid, so I can't comment. Tony Moore says, I was watching an older TPS and I heard Mick play the E major 7th riff chord progression that you later vlogged about. Had it stuck in my head ever since. Oh, well, that's good to know. What's the status on that and Dan's EP? Well, on mine, I am picking it up. I'm about to make a idiotic guitar purchase.
No, genius and essential guitar purchase.
In order to try and make that sing for its supper, I'm going to finish the EP and sell it. So, I don't know about release date, but hopefully spring.
So my EP, I've got one track to finish the tracking on, and then do vocals, and then I want to get my dear friend Paul Stacey to come and do a show with me on mixing, and then we'll get it done and actually press some CDs and have some, that'll be fun.
Nick Orr says, I've got a hardwired deluxe reverb with a post-phase inverter master volume, which is always maxed out.
Yep.
So does that mean you've added that to the deluxe reverb, or it's just the regular deluxe reverb master volume? I don't know the design of the amp well enough to know whether the deluxe reverb is a post-phase inverter master or not. When the main volume dials are all the way down, okay, so you have added the PPI master volume. So when the main volume dials are all the way down, the amp has some ground noise. Is this normal?
You'll need to ask an amp tech as soon as you start. Well, I don't know if that is a mod or not. If you start modding amplifiers, you need to be so careful for a number of reasons. But one of the reasons is if you're adding another path to earth anywhere, earth inside a valve amp is a hard thing to get right, a hard thing to not introduce more noise. So you've got to be so super careful. Valve amps are never silent. They're always going to be some sort of running, idling noise. But some are a lot noisier than others. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got amps that even before you turn the standby on are noisy.
Yeah.
And some that are just noisy, and some that are absolutely silent. So it's in the amp. It's in the, as Dan says, amp tech, and they'll diagnose it for you.
Yeah, totally.
Krager says, your use of the super reverb encouraged me to get a 69 drip edge that I'd been watching. It sounds unbelievable, and all my amps are jealous. Thanks for the inspiration and the education. Yeah, funnily enough, I was looking at that era of Fender amps on reverb yesterday. Too cool.
Yeah, totally. Overdrive Me Jimmy says, hey guys, way huge saucy box HC, Stone Deaf, Fig Farm, Voxwar, Walrus Fathom, JHS Lucky Cat, Way Huge, Blue Hippo, JHS Bonsai. Anything I should add? Well, they're really great. What would go nice with that? I would say, yeah, maybe a really nice reverb, maybe a compressor.
So Blue Hippo's a chorus. What's he got there? He's got chorus, delay.
He's got chorus, the Fig Farm, which is like the
Big Muff.
Big Muff type thing. Voxwar, Walrus Fathom. Oh, Walrus Fathom got the reverb already. Lucky Cat, Way Huge, Blue Hippo.
Chorus.
And the JHS Bonsai. Do you don't have a clonny thing in there?
Or a tremolo.
There you go. Harmonic tremolo and a clon.
Yeah, harmonic tremolo and a clon. There you go.
Yep, beautiful.
Then you can be king or queen or other of the world.
Yeah. Then you'd be one of the cool kids.
Line Cliche says, you might consider getting a fuel power supply that runs a US 120/60 and power amps in the studio side by side with UK power amps. That's really interesting. So the question is from Line Cliche, how different do amps optimized for US voltage and frequency, what do they call it, hertz, what's that, 60 hertz and 50 hertz? The
AC switching rate.
And because people do say that they sound very different. That's quite interesting. The thing is, if you do that and then you add a transformer, you're adding yet another variable into that. But that is blooming interesting.
It is very interesting.
Blooming interesting. Ashton Bryant says, I picked up a super reverb as per your guys' recommendation. Thanks for all that you do. What is your favourite guitar and amp pairing, Dan?
Telecaster, Matchless, AC30.
Yeah, very easy for me. Old vintage Strat and my 2-Rock classic reverb signature. And then in my parallel universe, it's a really well sorted ES335 into some kind of Dumble.
Nice. Very nice. Noah Bottomer says, a while since I could join live. No question. Just wintry cheers from Michigan. Be well. Thank you, Noah. That's really cool, mate.
Thank you, Noah. You certainly know how to do winter in Michigan as well, don't you? So, linked to the Japanese Strats being metric, says Tom Robinson. Does the same apply to the necks? I've got an MIJ neck which is nicely worn. Would it only fit in other MIJ bodies? If I have to measure the neck and tips, any tricks? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. So you really do need to hit up some kind of forum that discusses these things. Actually, I'll tell you a great resource is the Warmouth Guitars site, which I think discusses all this stuff in at length because, they're in the business of selling replacement parts. So go to Warmouth. I rather suspect a lot of the other parts manufacturers would be just as good. But Warmouth, WARMOTH, and there will be information there on that kind of thing. But yes, they're not the same size.
Yeah, sure. Daniel E says, can I use a stereo looper, a TC Ditto, in a wet-dry rig, or will that cause any latency issues? Out one of my splitter goes directly into the looper. Out two takes a detour through G2 with some wet effects. No, if it's a proper stereo looper, then no, that should be fine because both sides will be getting. If there is latency, then both sides will be getting that anyway. That should be fine.
Caleb Graham. Hello, Caleb. Caleb says, what compact multi-modulation pedal would you recommend? Trem, chorus, etc. And also, what humbuckers would you recommend for an HSS Strat? So, compact multi-modulation, Daniel?
Caveat. They're really cool, those things. The modulation for me is the hardest one to make sound good digitally, especially when you're used to the vintage 70s phases and flanges, and so I would yes, I would urge you to try a bunch of analog stuff, unless it's just you've got a few sounds that you here and there that you want to use. Then there's a bunch of really good ones. I really like the one Terraform. I think that was really good. Also, GFI did one called, not the synesthesia, they did the GFI modulation one, like the stereo modulator.
Yeah.
Whatever that's called. That was really good.
The Boss MD200.
Yeah, the one for Terraform I thought sounded really great.
Yeah, one for Terraform. Boss MD200, I'm going to say.
Boss MD200, yep, another good one.
Yeah, the user interface is really lovely. You get a bunch of easily accessible presets without having to use other stuff. So yeah, Boss MD200 for the compactness of it. There are others. You can get multi-modulations in your sort of mini pedal, Mua, Joyo,
yeah,
Landlord,
and H9 and all that stuff.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about tiny little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure we necessarily recommend any of those.
No,
but
I mean, the reason that I don't use any of those modulation things is because, as much as I think they sound really cool, when you hear a really nice MXR Phase 90, there's no going back from that. When you use a proper awesome sounding analog harmonic tremolo, it's like there's no going back from that.
No.
But it's all about context as well. If it's just a sound for a couple of tunes and you need some flexibility, fantastic. But for me, I use those sounds a lot. Like my flanger is a big part of my sound, so it's essential that it's bang on. And the Thorpe flanger that I use is just gorgeous. So yeah, it just depends on, like I've got an H9 on my board that I use for bits and pieces here and there. But for any core tones, it's got to be the real deal, baby. Sub Rosa says, Mick, someone places a killer vintage early 60s Strat in front of you. Your collection of electrics for this, but you can keep blue. Do you do it?
No. Easy. No. The motley collection of guitars that I have all mean something. They've all been the product of people and places and times and experiences, and bizarrely those mean more to me than the guitars themselves. So no, I wouldn't do that. For the same reason that I wouldn't sell them all to buy an early 60s Strat. The one guitar I would part with is blue, bizarrely. Which sounds awful to say, but it's an okay Strat. It's an okay Strat. I do love it. No, I don't want to part with blue. I don't want to part with any of my guitars because, actually Transit Van could go, although I've got plans for Transit Van. The John Mayer Strat I don't love, but again, it's a product of a time and a place.
Yeah.
And an experience, and therefore it means a lot to me. So yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't trade them at all. No. Matt Presley says, guys, do you use your Black Magic anymore? I'd love to see how you use it with your pedals. Stay safe and healthy. Love the show.
We used the Black Magic for ages. We haven't used it for a while, but it's a great amp.
Yeah, we should. We should pair it up with the deluxe reverb. I think it would work really well.
Oh yeah.
I really liked it. I used it in for a few gigs. I used it as my dry amp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny one because I think a lot of people associate the Supro sound with that, obviously with Jimmy Page for good reason, but lots of overdrive. That thing is insanely loud before it overdrives the Black Magic.
Yeah, so loud.
It's got a tremendous amount of headroom. And the tremolo in it is lovely. Yeah, let's use it a bit more. It's a great amp.
Yep, great idea. David Rutledge says, hey guys, David in Nashville here. Followed your recommendations and put a low winds Imperials in my Epiphone Dot, and it's a thing of beauty. Thanks again. You're welcome, David. Yeah, Lola's just they don't make a bad pickup.
Yeah,
I really agree. Fantastic. The Lola tele pickups are some of my favourite. I've got Lola's in my grey guitar TS style. Sounds fantastic.
I'm just about to start the casino vlog as well for all of those who've been asking for that. There's some Lola P90s going in my Epiphone casino. Excuse me. I've actually ordered a pre-wired harness, Dan,
Nice.
because I can't be bothered doing all the wiring yet again.
Yeah.
So I've ordered one from Six String Supplies in the UK. I've benefited from their tutorial videos so many times. I decided to buy some stuff from them.
Oh, well done, mate.
And I've bought their 335 harness, which is going to go in the Epi. So
That's lovely.
Phil Mingin again says, I had the privilege of playing a number on stage with Robin Ford. Wow.
Wow.
He signed the back of my headstock. His Dumble with a 2x12 is loud. Yeah. Every time I've seen him, he loves to play loud. I mean, he plays loud.
Yeah, totally.
But not, what is awesome about the way Robin Ford plays loud is it's not everything all the time. That volume is there for when it's required.
Yep.
Isn't it?
Yep.
It's
totally.
such a cool thing.
Yep.
Matt Lloyd.
George.
Matt, we haven't heard from you for a while. Hope you're doing okay, mate. He says, hey guys, I feel that a lot of stock pedals fail to give me the tone I want, but that a lot of stock pedals get me closer to what I'm looking for. Do you have any modded pedals you like better than the originals?
Yes, my Keeley modded Blues Driver.
Yes, my Keeley modded Tube Screamer.
Yep.
Anything that Analog Man mods.
Anything. He just has magic fingers and magic ears, that guy.
Because normally the Analog Man mods start with things like lowering noise floor, and sort of some practical things. But then in the case of the Tube Screamer, for example, the Keeley modded Tube Screamer that I've got increases headroom a bit, increases the range of the gain knob, and increases the range of the tone knob. So you can just get to a slightly sweeter spot. Analog Man modded GE7, which Dan was talking about earlier. Analog Man modded Blues Driver that you were talking about.
Yeah.
What else? What other modded pedals do we have? I think that's about it. JHS was big on that for years, wasn't he?
JHS started doing that, yeah.
Yeah, muff.
And then
he still does the muffs and a few other things.
Yes, so the JHS modded new Big Muff versions sound fantastic.
Yeah.
Really
yes,
good.
We definitely do have modded pedals that we prefer. And for me personally, because Keeley's not in that game anymore, it starts and ends with Analog Man.
Yep, totally. George Spigot says, as a drummer of 30 plus years, I started playing guitar 2 years ago. With your help, I now own a Strat, a Marshall MDX 30, a 5-watt valve head, and a quad box. What have you done? We've released you from Drummer Jokes, is what we've done, because you're now a guitar player. What
was that name again, please, Dan?
George Spigot.
George Spigot. Sorry, I think Dan broke up a bit there. So George Spigot, thank you, mate, for that. Andy Mill.
Yeah, well done, George. Legend.
Hey, Andy. He says, hey up, Mick and Dan. Do you know any Robert Burns quotes or lyrics? Or how are you having a dram? Love to have a grey or green TPS hoodie. Very happy with my blue one. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's Burns night tonight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Robert Burns, much celebrated Scots person. What do you do tonight? You have some whiskey and eat haggis.
Right.
Yeah.
He was the poet, right?
Yeah, and writer. Yeah.
So, I watched Sign Married and Axe Murderer last night with the kids, and I think they stayed in the Robbie Burns room at the hotel. That's as close as I can get to it. It's one of my favourite films. Anyway,
yeah. Dan, are you drinking at the moment, Dan?
No, I did. I had a really weak gin and tonic on Saturday night, but apart from that, I haven't. Very, very rarely.
Catherine and I have successfully managed dry January so far.
Amazing.
And we are both looking forward to a glass of wine on Friday night. But
well done, buddy.
I have to say, I feel almost immeasurably better.
Can I say, I mean, you're a handsome guy. You look great as well.
Oh, bless you, mate. I think that's the dog, to be fair. I'm actually getting out and doing some exercise every day.
Nice.
So, yeah, back on the booze this week. So, no, we won't be celebrating Robert with his with a dram tonight, but we do send our love to all of you Scots around the world who are doing just that. So there was a very interesting piece on Radio 4 today about haggis. Only on Radio 4 with an English person presenting it. I was like,
dear.
How dare you?
It's really funny. Because I love Scotland. When we had our holiday in Edinburgh, and I just was so captivated by the place. It's so lovely, and I love the Scottish accent. Like it's incredible.
Which one?
I remember when I spent that week with the Biffy boys, and there were parts of their conversation that I just couldn't understand. You know, when you get into that really thick Scottish accent, I got lost.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure I've told you this. Yet another name drop and tangent. Interviewing Ian Harvey from Delamitri. Literally couldn't understand him, so my mate Gibson Keddy had to do it, who was from Glasgow. I say, I'm terribly sorry. I can't understand a word you're saying. He's like, let's pull deluxe. Orange OTR 120. I felt like I was getting battered down the phone, you know. Killer guitar player. Ian Harvey from Delamitri. Right.
Ian Fan says, waiting on my monk, also saving for an atom. Oh, brilliant. I am worried it won't be enough loops. Would my collider need to be in a loop and connected via MIDI? Depends how you're using your collider, but you could, you could just use it after and save a loop and just connect it via MIDI. Depends what you want to do. But yeah, by all means, if you've got questions about that, just email support@thegigrig and we'll get you sorted out. And George Spigot again says, wah, whammy V5, big muff, OCD, rat, EQ, DL4, MM4, Hoff 2x4, wet dry sounded so good I had to try wet dry wet. Wet dry wet, so just picked up an AC15. Do I need help? No, George, you are, in the words of Mandalorian, this is the way.
Yes, you need to help others.
Yes, exactly.
You have become a teacher.
Spread that joy.
Yeah. When your fire burns brightly, you need to set fire to other people. I think I just misquoted the Buddha there, but anyway. We should say no more super chats. Thank you very much to everyone who super chatted. We've got a lot to get through, so thank you.
Sorry, very, very good.
We better draw a line under the super chats.
Thanks, everyone.
Please, no more super chats. Tommy R says, good day from Adelaide. I'm upgrading an old HH guitar. HH, what, as in the British brand HH? New pots, wiring, new Seymour-Duncan pickups. Is it worth upgrading the Tuna Matic bridge and tailpiece? And I've also got a new Harmonious Monk coming this week. I can't wait. It depends what the Tuna Matic and tailpiece is. If it's some real super heavy, cheapo version thereof, then yeah, absolutely worth doing for a really high quality.
It does make a massitive difference.
Makes a huge difference.
Anywhere that the strings are touching the guitar, they're important. That's why bone nuts are revered, and a well-made bone nut.
But you never know.
Look at the effort people go to get the blocks right on their strats. So yeah, absolutely. If the Tuna-Matic bridges, if it's not great, now the caveat though is it will change the sound of the guitar. Whether it makes it sound better or worse is totally up for conjecture.
Wise words, Danny boy. That is so true. So it might be one of those things that you just got to, write, I don't know, whatever it is, $50 or $60 off, and try it.
Try it out,
and then resell it on Reverb if you don't like it.
Totally. Lane Hillard says, "Hey guys, what are your thoughts on a Two Rock Studio Signature?
Yes.
Two Rock's lower wattage amp. I want to pair it with my 20-watt Friedman Runt for big, wet, dry tones. Love from Dallas, Texas."
I've only played one very briefly. I haven't played one in anger, but everything that Two Rock does in the new age is stellar.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think anyone makes.
I think it's a great shout for pairing it with a Friedman for a wet dry wig.
Yeah.
That'd sound epic.
Wet dry wig.
Wet dry wig.
Gordon Rankin's on. Gordon, your continued generosity is unbelievable. Thank you, sir. He says, so I typically run my guitar volume at about 80%.
Oh.
I'm a bit confused about lowering the volume, say with a fuzz, to clear it up.
There you go, Gordon.
Nice.
Yeah,
Gordon's
that's one
boost
of
pedal.
Gordon's.
So he says, are you then increasing the volume somewhere else or just living with the volume? I use the other 20% for solos. Yeah. Okay. So the problem with a fuzz pedal, if you're talking about the sort of traditional type fuzzes that Dan and I like, what you're talking about works really well with overdrive. It works exceptionally well with gainy amps, and it's where we were talking about it a bit earlier, where that kind of not everything on 10 all the time is a very dynamic place to live. Please watch Dan's vlog with Simon Jarrett this Thursday. It's a mine of awesome information, some of that. The problem with a fuzz, however, is slightly different. It kind of needs to see 100% from the guitar to be fuzzy. Because what happens is when you turn it down to 80%, you've basically got clean. So your approach to the fuzz might just have to be different from your approach to the overdrives. Dan, is that fair?
I concur.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Depends on the fuzz, of course.
Yeah.
But so a big muff will react very differently from a fuzz face.
Yeah. A big muff, you get a lot more range than with a fuzz face. You know, you go down to 9 on a fuzz face and you're clean.
Actually, a lot of tone benders as well don't clean up that much either, do they?
No.
So,
because
actually,
transistors buffered signal the input.
Scratch some of what I just said. It really does depend on the particular fuzz you're using. But
totally.
as always, trial and error, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Jeffrey
Raddick says, I'm looking for a good amp to pair with my PRS Sonzera 20 for a wet, dry rig. Is there something you would recommend? Wow. So many things. I don't know what the Sonzera is. It depends.
It's a 2-channel, does nice clean, does nice dirty, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Depends how you run the Sonzera.
Yeah.
So if you run it really gainy, then you need something that's of a similar, not necessarily the same.
Get another Sonzera.
Yeah.
And if you're running it gainy, you switch them both at the same time, but you only have the wet come out of one amp. That'd be killer.
Oh, that would be killer. Yeah. So another Sonzera, if you can stretch to it. If you want something a bit more cost effective, I mean, we find ourselves recommending them all the time, but something like a Hot Rod Deluxe, it's just a fantastic do-it-all kind of amp.
Really
but if you want to drive it harder, Pro Junior could work, and you could run the Sonzera as the wet amp and the Pro Junior as the drivey amp.
Yep.
Honestly, pretty much anything will work as long as it's in the same sport, gain-wise, as the Sonzera. Doesn't have to be playing the same game. Doesn't even have to be in the same stadium. It's just got to be in the same sport.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you don't want crazy. You don't want the one to have, immense limiting, and the other one to have crazy transients. That's when things get a little bit weird. But having them in the same ballpark does help.
Yes.
Derek Wyman says, Walrus ACS1 before or after reverb? Depends on the reverb. If the reverb can handle the output of the ACS1, then
tough, isn't it?
Try it after, but
think about it as a traditional signal path. So in a traditional signal path, you have amp, preamp, effects, amp, power stage, speaker. The problem you've got in something like the ACS is what have you got in there? Preamp, power amp, speaker. Have you? Is it an amp simulator?
Well, it would be. It'd have the preamp in there, yeah.
Yeah, so, but it is, you've got speaker simulation in as well?
Yeah.
So if you run, it's essentially going, do I run my reverb after all of that, at which point it becomes a post effect, the same as it would in, as if you were adding it in a DAW, for example.
Software, yeah.
Or if you put it before, you're running it before the preamp, which might not sound very good at all.
Yeah.
So unless there's an
Try
option
it.
to
It all
patch
depends on the reverb. Depends on the sounds that you're using. Just try it. Like, for example, if you're using that as an open thing, like, you know, an open sound, it'll sound fine with reverbs before it. But if you're using it for cranked tones, then and you've got a reverb that'll handle the headroom, stick the reverb after it. It'll sound great.
I would be surprised, knowing the guys at Walrus, if it didn't have a loop in it where you could patch it in somewhere. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
Who knows,
after. My vote would be after. Tree falling in forest, no question. Do we even know it's there?
Very good.
Vibhas Patil, hello Vibhas.
Hey Vibhas.
He says, I've noticed that my H9 has superb delay, chorus and reverb sounds, but it just doesn't sound as good as analog pedals when it comes to vibe and phase. I'm comparing with the H9 with a dry bell vibe and a vintage phase 90. Yep. Do you have any tips on this?
Yeah, it's exactly what I was saying before. The digital simulations of modulation sounds are hard. If you're using delays and to some extent reverbs are not easier in the sense that as long as you keep your direct tone clean and you can layer and mix the effective sound on top. But with the modulation sounds, you can't really do that. Well, it's a lot harder to do that. So the whole thing, because you're modulating everything, the whole thing needs to be digital. And, you know, like the H9, it does a really great sounding thing. It does have its own sound. But when you've used real, you know, 70s or 70s inspired phases and flanges and things, there is something about the sounds of pedals that for whatever reason is really, really hard to replicate. Which is why, because I love those sounds, they're a very big part of what inspires me to play guitar. It's the same reason that I love playing, you know, real, you know, analog fuzzers and valve amplifiers and stuff, is because once you've connected with that stuff, having things that, you know, and all the simulations, they're all fantastic. But for me, that connection is really important. Once you've experienced it, it's really, really hard to go back. Now, not to say that those things don't have their place, they absolutely do. But if modulation is a big thing for you, I have not heard a modulation system yet that comes anywhere near the real thing.
No arguments for me, unfortunately. Abgasaurus from Denmark says, I'm looking for a more stratty sound. Would Lola Blonde or Dirty Blonde pickups be good alternative to Ron Ellis 5060s? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Anything that purports to be correct vintage spec will work for you. Now, one thing that might help you a bit, when people talk about stratty sounds, where are we with that? Are we talking about, because if you go back to the mid-50s when the Strat came out, it's pretty urgent, ballsy, mid-rich kind of sounding guitar, maple neck,
yeah,
pretty aggressive pickups. Then we go through the 50s. As we hit the late 59, when the fingerboard turns to rosewood for the first time, pickups changed a little bit before that. We start to think about a slightly more softer Strat sound for those two reasons. By the time we get to 64, black bottom pickups go, grey bottom pickups come in, plain enamel wire rather than Formvar wire, and different magnets. So your post 64 Strat sounds a little bit brighter, a little bit edgier, and a lot of people seem to think that is the really stratty sound. And for that, think about I don't know, Robert Cray. John Mayer really likes the post 64 type sound. Doyle Bramall really loves the 64 type sound. Whereas before that, you've got your Stevie Rays, all your slab board Fender players, basically. So Stratty means different things to different people. If you know that your classic 50s style maple neck pickup, your early 60s pickup, and your post 64 pickups are the three kind of very different things, that might help you make a decision. Certainly, if you listen to the people who play those guitars, might help you point you in the right decision. And we would unreservedly recommend all Lollar pickups. It might help you pick the right set from Jason.
Yeah, lovely.
Good luck.
Dustin Thiessen says, hello, lads. I've loved your show over the years. If you need a sound engineer when you're in Winnipeg, I'd love to do it, provided I'm not on tour. P.S. I'll give you as many mics as you need.
Dustin, awesome.
Legend. Thank you, Dustin. We'll hold you to that.
Joey and Dave are in charge of production, so you need to talk to them.
Brilliant. Elusive Moose says, hello. I love my Nobles ODR1. Plays great with any drive, fuzz, distortion, and amp I've ever paired it with. When will it make a TPS debut? It is time.
We've been talking about it. We've been talking about it with the distributor of Nobles in Europe. The thing that's slightly confusing is that they've got the standard ODR1, right? Then they've got the mini one, and then there's another one. So we're saying, look, just send us them all, and then we can get in and have a play. So then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Really, I've offered to say, look, just sell. We'll happily buy them. You don't need to send them to us for free. We just, maybe the easiest thing would just be to buy them from Anderton's, and then we can.
Yeah.
Then we can just get on it.
Idea.
Yeah. So yeah, we totally should. It's a much loved pedal, and would be good to get better acquainted. David Imrie says, I'm into clean funk with dirty psychedelic solos. And blues also. My current amp is a JTM 30 with a King of Tone. Would a PV Classic offer me something new? Depends which one you get. From memory, Classic 30 is EL84s, and I don't think that would be, it would be different, but I don't think it would be massively different from the JTM. Because if I'm right in saying the JTM 30 is also EL84s, I could be wrong. The Classic 50, if memory serves, is 6L6s. Which, if we try and avoid all the pitfall bear traps of saying EL34 sound like this, EL84 sound like this, 6L6s sound like this, because it's just, it's rubbish. They don't. Or other factors of the amp design have more of a bearing, or as much of a bearing. Then choose whatever amp you buy next. Choose something that has a different power stage configuration and different front end gain configuration from your current amp. Then you can pretty much guarantee it will be very different.
It's really simple. Just get a high watt. That'll do it. Peter De Leon says, I've just started my new wet-dry rig. My amps get mad at sharing power. Should I isolate everything to kill hum for gigs? I isolate one amp right now. So your amps get mad at sharing power. Okay.
Ground loop hum.
Yeah, so what you want to do, your board, your amps and everything. So what I find can be helpful is make sure you've got a really nice power pack, like a four-way or whatever, and make sure they're all running into the same power pack, so that everything's got the same earth going into the wall. I find that really helps. If you've got an amp plugged into one socket of the wall and an amp plugged into the other socket, you can actually get a different potential with the earth. So, keep all that stuff plugged into a shared, like a single power pack. Never lift the ground from an amplifier. Ever. Don't ever do that. It's too dangerous. It's not worth it. You just need to isolate the inputs to one of the amplifiers.
Buy a humdinger.
That's what you need to do.
Buy a humdinger. Buy the gig rig. Solve all your problems.
Yeah, humdingers. That was what there's some other really good ones. Lale make them. There's a bunch of really good ones. What you want is where you're splitting it. One of the outputs has to be isolated and phase reversible, and then that'll get rid of the earth loops. Never remove the earth from one of the amplifiers.
There you go. David Braniff says, thank you, boys, for the tips on Rhett's dry wig. I've got a new Vox AC10 being delivered tomorrow to match with the HT5. I'm so excited.
Nice.
Let us know how you get on, David. Let us know how you get on.
Yeah, please
just remember you need something to flip the phase and to isolate one of the amps. If you can do those two things, you're in the game.
Yeah, wonderful.
David Imrie again says, please explain Mornington Crescent. It baffles me. I've never been to Mornington Crescent, so I don't know.
No idea. Why not Maple? Says, shout out to Thorpe Effects for releasing the Fleur. I love it for the isolated side of the humdinger to buffer it. Do you all ever use SAG or the dying battery thing for any pedals? Thanks for all you do.
I've never tried it, but I know loads of people who really love it, especially for fuzzes.
Yeah, right.
So Dan makes a product called Virtual Battery, which you can have SAG in that, can't you, Dan?
Well, yeah, so the humdinger is a bit different. The humdinger doesn't change the voltage, it changes the current. So what we do, instead of just changing the voltage, if you think about the difference between a alkaline 9-volt battery and a carbon battery, sorry, not alkaline, what's it called?
What, you like a zinc carbon battery?
You got a carbon battery, yeah, and then you've got the really high current stuff. Yeah, anyway, the difference between one of the really high current batteries and the carbon battery, what happens is if you imagine that your pedals on a power supply, you can give it all the current at once. And when the transistor starts drawing, it just takes its current, no problem. With a carbon battery, on a lot of fuzzers, it sets up a little bit of resistance. And as it starts drawing current, there's a little bit of resistance there. And that actually, to me, has more of a dramatic thing on the sound than just going between, changing voltages, which is cool. But it's actually that resistance thing that I find has the bigger thing between the two different types of batteries.
Interesting. I have a borderline OCD problem with anything remotely variable. So it's just got to be the same every time. So if I'm going, oh God, is it at 6.8 volts or 7.3 volts? I can't concentrate on playing and singing at that point. So
totally.
So that's a step too far for me, all of that.
Yeah.
But we know people who are super tweaky about it.
Yeah, totally.
Jay
Salmon, thank you very much, mate. I don't know. There's no question for that, but
who was that? Sorry, Dan. Sorry.
Jay Salmon.
Jay Salmon. Sorry, I talked over you. Soren Ledet. Hi, Soren from Denmark. He says, "Evening, gents. Awesome vlog, Mick." Thank you, Soren.
It was awesome.
I run wet dry with the 2-Rock Classic Reverb signature. Yes, you do. And a Burnside. Oh, I'd really love to hear the Burnside. I would love to hear the Burnside. It sounds heavenly. Any thoughts on the Walrus Audio Mako series? Stay safe. It sounds really great. We love the functionality. We love the UI. The stuff they've put on the top panel is such a brilliant interface. However, one major problem with wet dry, they are not analog drive-through. Therefore, unless you're using it 100% wet, it's going to cause a phase problem with your 2 amps.
For most people, that's fine. I don't really understand. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit strange because the other Walrus pedals are all analog drive-through and wonderful. I didn't really get that one. but maybe it's a form factor that works for them, and
Yeah.
and like I said, it does sound great. But yeah, if you're running a wet dry rig, then you're going to struggle to get that. You're going to have latency on one side.
Yeah. But if you run it before whatever you're splitting, no problem at all.
You'll be fine.
Absolutely fine. And really cool sounding thing. But yeah.
Yeah. No, they do sound really great.
I'm back for seconds, says Tommy R. I love the Super Reverb show. I recently found a 3-piece band called All Them Witches. A southern post-rock, uses 2 supers and a Les Paul. Killer tones. Check them out.
Nice.
Live in Borton show on YouTube. Okay, All Them Witches. They sound great already. Who have we got then? David Rutledge says, hey guys, it's David in Nashville. I followed your recommendations and put Lola Low Wind Imperials in my Epiphone Dot, and it's a thing of beauty. Nice.
Awesome.
Glad you're enjoying it, David. Sorry, I'm just catching up because Dan and I were in a slightly different place on the queues.
We should be there. Make a few caught up to me, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, let me just check then if we definitely are.
Quip Stilly says Lola is 10 minutes away from me. I have Lola P90s in my casino coupe and love it.
Nice.
Yeah, he does good P90s.
Okay, final one then from Tyler Cloak, who says, I love the high watt sound. Are there any lower watt alternatives?
The high watt sound is high. It's high watt.
Yeah.
You don't say, I want a high watt sound. Can I have a low watt? Watt?
They have done some 20 watts over the years.
The studio, is it the stage studio they did?
I don't know. My knowledge of high watt is really poor.
The high watt studio stage, which was a 22 watt amplifier, and there was a guy in a band that played the same circuit that we did, and he sounded unbelievable with that amplifier.
Yeah.
So yeah, the high watt studio stage, which is 22 watts, really lovely.
It's funny, isn't it? Because what defines the high watt sound for you? So for a lot of people, it's the players that use them. So whether that could be, I don't know, Pete Townsend as a good example.
Yeah.
Absolutely belting Les Paul Deluxe or Junior or whatever, or Rickenbacker or whatever guitar he's playing. Overdrive, amazing. Rich Robinson, big fan of high watts, and indeed the later Joyce amps. Again, loads of overdrive. David Gilmour, of course, David Gilmour. And all of those guitar players are people with just fabulous overdrive guitar sounds.
Yep.
But for me, the thing about the high watt is it's massive clean headroom.
Yeah, totally.
Like, just colossal headroom.
Mm-hmm.
And fidelity. Dan and I talk about fidelity a lot, which sounds weird when you're talking about guitar sounds because, guitar isn't high fidelity. It doesn't have a very wide frequency range when you add overdrive. It's not a high fidelity instrument in that respect, but the clarity, the dynamics, the feedback for the player.
Balancing that, headroom without sounding sterile. Yeah. And that's the thing that the high watt just manages to do, so beautifully. You feed it more at the input and it just keeps going and going and going and just never sounds dull.
Yeah.
It is a magic amplifier.
Yeah. And I would say that, it's a bit of a generalization. It probably anger a lot of people, but most really good boutique hand-wired amps do that headroom thing. They just do.
Mm.
They just do. I don't know why. I'm not an engineer, but they just do.
Beautiful.
Groovy, people. Okay, next up from us is going to be Thursday. Dan has done a video with Simon Jarrett from Kingsley Amps that we'd done when Simon was here last, which was, I don't know, a year or so ago. Dan managed to lose the hard drive with all the media on it. And then it turned up again. So it's the lost masterclass.
Indeed.
And it really is. Get yourself a long drink of something or other and you're best concentrating head on, because there is an immense amount to learn in that video.
Yeah, it might take a few watches. I'll be watching this for the rest of my life, I think.
It is.
There's so much in there. But it really is a masterclass. Yeah. Simon is in just some of his playing in it. It's
astonishing.
It's just phenomenal. So that's this Thursday.
This Thursday, there'll be no regular Friday show for a minute. People are saying, "Oh, why don't you just put it out on Friday?" And we're like, "No, the Friday show is something very special. It requires me and Dan in the same room. You know, it has a vibe and a whatever to it." So what is cool though is it's allowing us to try these other things. I've got a few ideas. Dan's got a few ideas that we can do on our own separately, and just for a bit of variety. And the feedback on that stuff so far has been great. So please bear with us while we see COVID get to a more manageable level. And when it does, and we can start being in the same room again, then we will be back firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Either that, or I'm going to buy a body condom and just come down anyway.
There is. Sorry, I don't mean to be macabre, but there is a point where everyone's going to go, "Do you know what? I'd rather be dead than this." Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us. And
indeed.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Really lovely. And thank you, of course, BV, for being the legend that you are.
Thanks, BV.
Yes.
Groovy. All right, we'll see you Thursday. I'm going to go over here and twiddle knobs.
Indeed. All right, guys. Lots of love. Stay safe. Be good. See you Thursday.